3, 2, 1. Yes. Okay. Good night. Thank you very much for staying with us. To continue this cycle of conferences, we have as a special guest a great person and a great talent such as Cecelia Tamayo. Hi, Cecelia. How are you? Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time. Your work is very inspiring, and it is an honor to have the opportunity to be part of this interview so that we can. Okay. Parece que tenemos problemas con la conexión de Cecilia.
Esperemos que en unos momentos pueda regresar. Hay que dar un tiempo.
Okay.
Una disculpa a todo el público que nos está viendo, pero bueno, ahorita continuamos. Gracias.
Okay, so we're back. Well, thank you very much for your time. Your work is very inspiring, and it is an honor to have the opportunity to be part of this interview so that we can get to know you better and learn more about your work. I will read a brief semblance. Cecelia Tamayo is an aerospace engineer graduated from the University of Texas at Austin in 2007. She had previous experience with internships at Boeing Integrated Defense Systems, supporting the F-22 Fighter Structural Analysis Team, and at Lockheed Martin, supporting the Joint Strike Fighter 35 Stress Analysis Team. She is leader of the technical area of the Environmental Systems Branch and leader of Expedition. She works for a company called KBR, which is the prime contractor to NASA Johnson Space Center Integrated Mission Operations Contract. She managed the contractor workforce in the environmental and life support system, responsible for supporting mission planning and preparation, astronaut crew and mission control center flight controller training, and real-time flight execution services to NASA's human spaceflight programs. She has been with this team for about 14 years. During this time, she has had the opportunity to train flight controllers to support mission control and train astronauts that have flown to International Space Station and has supported crew training for United States commercial vehicles and private astronaut missions. Well, now I would like to give the floor to my colleague Satkiel to ask questions about the academic background of our guest of honor.
Hello guys, my name is Satkiel Sanchez, together with my colleagues Alejandro Hernandez and Fernando Quiroz, who are aerospace inner students. We would like to proceed to ask you the following questions. But first, well, I would like to say that I have heard so many things about your work, so, as my colleague said. So I think it's an inspiration for the viewers and my colleagues who are also aerospace engineers to continue with their goals. And the most important part is to never give up. So it is such a pleasure to meet you by this means. And now let's get started with the first question. How did your interest and motivation to study engineering begin? I mean, why did you decide to study aerospace engineering?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you again for allowing me to join everybody. This is exciting. So I grew up in Houston, Texas, and that is home to NASA Johnson Space Center. So I've always been around NASA human spaceflight and the thought of working with astronauts. But really in school, I thought I'd grow up to be an artist or a scientist. But I ended up having a real passion for teaching. And when I went into aerospace engineering, I really wanted to put together the math and the science to hopefully one day kind of be like a scientist and to work on the next frontier, space and human space flight.
It's really amazing because I think that most of us who are here present share the same dream when we were kids. So if you could achieve it, so the way. Um, Now my next question for you is: when you were in college, which subjects were the most difficult for you?
Yes. Like an engineer, the hardest ones for me are the reading and the literature. So I never truly enjoyed, um, having to write papers because I felt like no matter how hard I try or how well I felt, I presented a paper. It just really wasn't that great, and I blame my math and science brain for not being able to write wonderful papers. So I always found those to be challenging.
It sounds awful, and I think you also had to study so many subjects related with maths, physics, and chemistry. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what's await us to study as future aerospace engineers. And now, my last question for you is: could you tell us about your experience as a woman, as well as the challenges and complications you faced during your undergraduate degree?
Yeah, definitely. So when I was in college, there were not many women in aerospace engineering. There was only a handful of us. Um, but also, to be honest, there was not a lot of Hispanics in aerospace engineering where I was. So it was a little bit intimidating on both sides to be in a field where a lot of people did not necessarily look like me. However, being a female and what that meant in aerospace engineering um, was that I can reach out to the other females. We had somewhat of a bond, knowing that there are fewer of us in this field and to work together. Um, but at the end of the day, it really came down to who I am, despite any differences, that there was no opportunity that I was not able to be part of because I was a female or Hispanic or any different from the people studying around me.
Yes, I think it was a bit difficult to. Sí, se salió de la reunión. Ahora, igual, una disculpa. Esperemos que en un momento regrese eh, nuestra invitada especial en un par de minutos.
Mientras tanto, aprovechamos para comentar que si tienen alguna duda la pueden escribir en los comentarios y al final de la entrevista las vamos a responder.
Hi, everybody. I'm back with you. My internet
Hello,
is
hello.
not great.
It's okay, no problem.
Okay, don't worry.
Well, I was going to say that I think it was a bit difficult to take a class where the majority were men and women. So I think it was a bit difficult. But anyway, It was all from my part. Thank you very much for answering my question. And now my colleague Fernando is going to proceed with the following questions.
Hello, I am Fernando. And well, I want to start by saying thank you for taking the time to give this interview. As everybody said, it's really inspiring for us who are aerospace engineer students, and to have people like you talking about what they do and what they have achieved. So yeah, thank you. And my first question for you is, what did you enjoy the most about studying aerospace engineering? Like, what's the happiest thought that comes to your mind when you think about like your student time?
Definitely. I enjoyed the team aspect. It's something that I saw when I was a student, and something I've got to see now that I'm professional is working on teams. And so I learned in school how important it is to have a good team and to work with others. So for my senior design project, when we are in our last year, we have to design a vehicle, and you're putting together everything that you've learned during your classes. And it is such a great feeling once you present all the stress and the math and the science, um, and putting it all together and accomplishing something together as a team where everybody had a role and everybody was important. That was something that still, again, today, I use that skill. I use that the fact that you need to work in teams, and it's something that I had a chance to do when I was a student.
Well, thank you. I think that's like a great advice for us who are still like in our first year. That's something that our teachers always say to us, that we have to make a team and work together. So now I want to ask you questions about your job and what you do in that. So my first question about that is, what was your experience as an aerospace engineer with job opportunities? And I know it's really different in both countries, the United States and here in Mexico, but like how was your experience? Was it easy? Was it hard to find a job?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let's see. So when I was in school, I did a couple of internships. I honestly thought that NASA was probably something that I couldn't achieve. That's a place where maybe someone like me wasn't fit for NASA. So with aerospace, I did a lot of internships with defense. So working on fighter um, fighter jets, designing and doing structural analysis. And although that is very, very important work, it really wasn't where my heart was. So having the opportunity, and I went to career fairs, and that's where I learned about the position that I came into, and that's being an instructor, using my aerospace background to teach flight controllers and astronauts. And again, that just seems so perfect because my true passion has always been teaching. And to know that I can use that field, aerospace, to do this every day and be a part of that, it was just a real blessing. And I'm very thankful that that opportunity was there, because at the end of the day, it really is the right place for me to be, to make a good difference.
So what would you tell to all of our viewers and all of us students who are like a little bit worried about what we're gonna face when we graduate with our job opportunities? What will be your advice for that?
Definitely. Be flexible and be honest with yourself. You are spending all of this time and effort, and it's hard work to be in the field that you're in and that you chose. And know that there are opportunities out there that are different than what you think of as an engineer. Again, I have an engineering background, but I use it. I don't bring out my calculator every day and crunch numbers, but I'm using the fact that I know something technical so that I can explain something technical to other people. And again, it's not something that I ever imagined was out there. So if you're doing this and you're finding a job or finding work that doesn't quite line up with what you expect it to be, that's okay. Keep looking, and that right position or that right thing will show up, and you will know it when you're in that role. You will know, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. And sometimes it may not be I'm directly using aerospace engineering, but I have that background and it makes me better at my job.
Can I mention something?
Yes.
How did you find the opportunity to apply for a company which works for the NASA? How did you find that opportunity?
Yes. So, in general, because right now the role that I have is that I also help with hiring, and I tell students all the time, look for career fairs, find people, get on networks where you can start making yourself stand out, and reach out and communicating to others about your interest, and have a great background. So it's not just about engineering and getting that wonderful grade. What else can you contribute? Organizations like this is incredible that you guys are involved in an organization like this, communicating about aerospace engineering. That really sets you all apart, being very active. And so for us, it's really, sometimes it's finding the companies that you're interested are doing key search words. NASA, just really looking out, because there are many companies that work with NASA that may not directly be federal, but also just companies that NASA's becoming so large and working with so many other private industry and companies. There's a lot of different areas that are looking for people to contribute.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, and finally, the last question from my part is, can you tell us a little bit about what you do in your current job? What are the main activities that you're developing now, and for our viewers to know what you do?
Okay, I missed a little bit of your question, but I'll answer what I heard. Again, I apologize for my internet. You would think I would have a better internet, but I don't. So what I do, when I first started, I've been in the same area since I started. I signed on to be an instructor, and I teach astronauts, flight controllers, flight directors, Capcoms, anybody that is associated with flight operations, supporting a mission. We teach them about my system, which is environmental life support. So that's anything to maintain a breathable atmosphere. So think about all the things that we need here on Earth, we need on a space station. So we teach them how to operate those systems. I was in that role for many, many years. And then I moved on to a management role. So now I'm responsible for over 50 employees, hiring. I'm responsible for helping them gain their certifications to become a flight controller, or I'm working with the instructors that are training the astronauts. So I have a different role than I have in the past, but now I get to see the individuals come in and become important members of the team. And that's just a real blessing to see someone walk in on the first day not knowing where the restroom's at and then becoming somebody who is going to be supporting mission control and responding to something like an emergency, and to know, wow, I was involved with bringing that person onto the team is a real inspiration.
Wow. I think it must be amazing to work directly with all the equipment and all the people who are flying to the space. So thank you for answering my questions. And now it's time for my colleague Alejandro, for his question.
Thank you, Fernando.
Hello, Cecelia. My name is Alex, and I would like to ask you, I'm a little bit curious, what did you enjoy the most about your current job?
Yeah, I think kind of what I mentioned before, hands down, it's going to be the people. I get to work with some incredible people. And I have individuals who are just absolutely brilliant. I get to work with astronauts that are just incredibly, again, intelligent, but they're down to earth. They're just really nice people. And they allow you to come in and be part of their lives, and they trust you. So it's the people that I get to work with, the people I get to see. It's all about the people and the teams. And that's my favorite part of my job.
I'm really glad to know that there are people like you, even astronauts, that are modest and humble, even though they do some stuff that I believe it's amazing and that almost nobody on Earth can do. It's going to International Space Station and doing some walks over there in space. Yeah, I believe it's something amazing, something almost impossible for most of us. And since I was a little kid, it's my dream to become an astronaut. So hopefully I will see you soon in NASA. Thank you very much. For
Absolutely.
Okay, well, among the activities that you carry out in your work, which ones do you consider to be of the utmost importance?
Yeah, so that's almost a hard question for me to answer, because I personally feel so much of it is very important. But to talk a little bit more about the technical role, so the system that we're responsible for teaching the astronauts or the flight controllers, it has to also do with emergency response. So if there's ever something like a fire, or you had a cabin loss, so the atmosphere starts leaving into space and you start losing your oxygen and nitrogen, all of those things, our team, our flight controllers are trained to help respond to, almost like firefighters as well, in case there's a fire. So it's a very, very important role that everybody has to be able to respond, to be confident that you understand your system, that you've been trained for this, even though nobody wants a bad day on the International Space Station or anywhere in space. But we train people for it, and to be able to take care of the lives of the astronauts and the vehicle is very, very important. And we get to be part of that every day.
Okay. Is it hard to make all those kind of protocols?
Absolutely. Yes, there's so much that goes into it. So we are the International Space Station. So there's all sorts of different programs, different countries working together to make these decisions on what will we do to save the lives of these human beings. And we don't care if they're from one country or another. We're going to take care of their human beings and their lives, and we're going to make sure that they're safe. So there's so much work, so many people involved and passionate about keeping the astronauts safe and human spaceflight.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Well, I've got another question for you, Ceci. Could you tell us about the curriculum of the major in the USA, please?
Yes. So generally, it's going to be 4 years to get a degree, a bachelor's of science degree in aerospace engineering. I took the 5-year path, so I worked, and I also took classes, and then I took 1 year to study abroad. So again, if I can give an advice while you're in college or at university, take advantage of all the things that you can, because studying abroad was an amazing opportunity. But yes, we have a lot of mathematics, a lot of physics, a lot of dynamics classes, to talk about how things move in space, and then a lot of thermodynamics was also played a very important role. At my university, aerospace and mechanical engineering were very similar. There was just a couple of classes here and there that were slightly different, but the 2 degrees were very similar.
Oh, it sounds really interesting because uh, I would like to say that the major of aerospace engineering in Mexico is not new because there are other states uh, like Baja California, Chihuahua, Puebla that already have the major in their university. But if I specifically talk about in Mexico City, the major was inaugurated last year by UNAM University. I'm not pretty sure if the other university have the same curriculum like UNAM, but here the major is divided into 2 categories: space. Se salió, ¿no?
Nuevamente publico una disculpa por los problemas técnicos. Esperemos que regrese pronto como lo hizo la otra vez. Gracias por esperarnos. Disculpe.
Igual recuerden dejar sus preguntas. Si tienen alguna pregunta para la entrevistada, en los comentarios para que las podamos leer al final, por favor.
Siéntanse en la confianza de escribirlas en español si gustan y nosotros la traducimos a la entrevista.
Hello again.
Hi, I'm just making it interesting for everybody, aren't I?
It's okay. It's okay. As I was saying, the major of aerospace engineering at UNAM University is divided into 2 categories: space field and aeronautics field. So when you are in the last semester, you have the chance to decide which field you would like to study. But we are the first generation, my colleagues and me, we are the first generation. So I think we still have so much time to decide that again. So I just wanted to say that.
Yes, and there was very similarities in my degree as well. There was an opportunity to decide later on if you wanted to go space or be more within the atmosphere type studies.
Okay. The next question that
Sorry,
I would like to ask you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next question that I would like to ask you is, in the aerospace field, do you have personal goals that you want to achieve?
Yes. I want to continue being part of the NASA team. I mentioned earlier that NASA is becoming much larger and becoming more involved. We have initiatives to go to the moon and beyond. And I absolutely want to be part of that and continue to see that. Land the first woman on the moon, land human beings on Mars. So that's absolutely my goal, is to be part of that and get to see when we achieve those amazing accomplishments.
Okay, it sounds like a perfect dream. We know that if you really want, you will have the opportunity to make your dream real.
Continuing my previous question, I would like to know if you have ever thought or dream about becoming an astronaut. Yeah, and how did you keep in touch with this dream, or are you still motivated and wanting to become that?
Yeah, that's a great question, because everybody wants to be an astronaut at one point, right? It's
Yeah.
definitely a
Almost
dream of
impossible that no one dreamed it.
a lot of people. And yes, absolutely, that's something that would have been incredible. Right now, I love the fact that I've gotten a chance to meet them and to be part of their lives. But actually, flying off into space is probably something I'm not thinking I'm going to do in the future. I have 5 kids, and they pretty much keep me here on Earth pretty busy. So it's a definitely demanding job. And so for those who are interested in that, it is something that will take your full heart and soul to achieve that the dream, and lots of time and dedication. So I absolutely love being part of their lives, but I think I'm going to stay here on Earth.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate what you told me right now.
Thank you.
Well, in fact, I've got a question related with the previous one. If you had the chance to make an experiment in space to help mankind, what would it be?
Great question. Wow. Oh, there's so many things. It may sound strange, but in space, we constantly, one thing you hear from the astronauts is how beautiful Earth is, how precious our planet is. And we all know that there is a lot of pollution in our world. There is a lot of loss of natural resources. So if there is an experiment to help us get better at building our products, things that we use every day, but in a more sustainable, earth-friendly way, I would love to be part of that experiment, so that we can continue to take care of our planet, take care of our home.
I hope that someday you can be part of that kind of experiment who can help mankind. Thank you very much for answering my question.
Thank you.
Okay, so we seem to have some questions from viewers. If that's okay with you, we would like to give space for you to answer these questions.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
Okay, so the first question is from Francisco Javier, and he asks, what do you think about aerospace engineering in Mexico?
It's a great question. So that's something that I'm honestly not as familiar with. I did some research before joining you all today, and I've had a chance to be in Mexico City, and that's where I met Jessica's family. And so I am somewhat familiar, but like you said, with aerospace being somewhat new, my understanding is there's more opportunity with the defense side, military military and aircraft, but I'm not too familiar with, space.
Que tenemos de nuevo problemas de conexión. Una disculpa de nuevo. Esperemos que se vuelva a conectar.
Nuevamente, por favor, siéntanse en la confianza de hacer todo tipo de preguntas que quieran expresar a la entrevistada y nosotros las haremos hacer llegar.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear the answer? I'm sorry if it cut off.
I think
we just heard the part.
You missed the second part?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just saying, I'm really not as familiar with aerospace engineering, but I think that's something that I would be interested in learning more about. And also, one thing that, again, with NASA is that it is an international commitment to human spaceflight. So it's exciting to see more countries becoming involved with human spaceflight.
Okay. So we have another questions. Are there opportunities for Mexican to do an internship in NASA?
That's a great question. I am not sure of all the opportunities, but some of them do require some exposure to security information. So I know that some opportunities are limited to American citizens, but I know that there are a lot of commercial vehicles, commercial companies working with NASA that are open to all sorts of backgrounds and different areas.
Okay, thanks. Francisco Javier is asking, what are some of the limits nowadays that the NASA has to make some new space missions?
Yeah, I think just like many other places around the world or any agencies, you're always going to be working with technology to get you there cheaper and faster. And so the same challenges that we have across the field, you want to make sure that you have enough money to do it, the right resources, the right technology. And so those are all things that we are working to achieve, answer those questions. And that's why ISS is such a great vehicle, because it's almost like a test bed. How do we use this vehicle that we're operating right now to learn more so that we can go and continue on to the moon and beyond?
Okay, perfect. It's very, very interesting, all this. Okay, nuevamente, si tienen más preguntas, por favor, escríbanlas y abriremos otro espacio para preguntar. Okay, Carmen Mendez has another question. Can you give us some advice if we want to study aerospace engineering?
Absolutely. It just depends on what kind of advice you're looking for. Now, I think some of the best advice that I was given are there's two pieces. One, my uncle, before I left to college, he looked at me and he said, treat college as if it is your job and you're getting paid for it. You work 8 to 5, normal business hours. On the weekends, you can party and have fun, but you better get right back to work. Otherwise, you'll lose your job. So that was really important to prioritize school and treat it with respect, and so that you can be successful. The other part that's been very important to me is you don't have to be the smartest person in the room to make a difference. If you are constantly comparing yourself to others, comparing yourself to, oh, somebody else is getting this better than me, it's going to be more difficult. Be the best that you can, because, like I said, what I've seen is so much is accomplished through teamwork, and everybody has an important role. And so, in school, you might have an area that you're better at than others, and others may be better at a different area, and that's okay. So enjoy the time because it goes by fast, and so and work hard.
Okay, thanks so much. Cece, I think that your audio is going on a little bit bad, but don't worry, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Okay. So
Okay.
we have another question that is from Laura Calvo, and she says, is there any change in your activities with times of COVID?
Yes, definitely. It has changed so much. So, like a lot of other people, many of us work from home. However, if you are a flight controller or you are teaching the astronauts, you do come to support those activities. But the majority of us are working from home to support the same accomplishments and missions that we have been in the past. So we're slowly allowing more people to come back, but it's definitely, we want to make sure everybody is safe.
Okay. Yes, of course. I think that all the situation that we are living will make us stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have another question. Francisco Javier asked if you consider important the relationship with private companies for space exploration.
Oh, yes. Yeah, there's a lot, again, a lot happening with human space flight. It is no longer just one team, it is a larger team. So a lot of companies, private companies, working together or working to accomplish different goals. And so there's definitely more private industry in the human space flight field, even sending private citizens into space. So all of that's really exciting, and it pushes everybody to be better and to work together as well.
Okay, thanks so much. I think that those were all the questions. Ok, vamos a esperar nuevamente otros segundos a que la invitada pueda reconectarse.
De igual manera pueden dejar sus preguntas y se puede abrir otro espacio para que se puedan responder con calma.
Como comentábamos anteriormente, chicos, no tengan miedo de ponerlas en español. Sin ningún problema, nosotros la intentamos traducir de la mejor manera a nuestra invitada.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm back.
Hello again. Yeah, don't worry. We can hear you.
Okay, great. I heard you say that was all the questions before my internet cut off again.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Well, to conclude, we want to ask you a few extra questions. What are the most important lessons that being a student and professional has given to you?
Yes, it really goes back to kind of what I said before. Um, how you don't have to be the smartest in the room or the strongest person to really make a difference. If you're truly passionate about something, be part of it, join it, become involved, and don't let that stop you. And you'll find the right place for you. And that's what I've learned with aerospace engineering. I thought I was going to go one direction, and I found a different path. And so I just learned to enjoy, take what I know, and continue to learn and enjoy what I do.
Oh, yes, it's like no matter how intimidating is the environment, you just have to take the risk, trying new things. Okay, we have another question, but well, I have. What advice can you give to our aerospace engineer generation in order to become better students and later on great engineers?
That was a great question. Well, first of all, Jessica, you were mentioning, or actually, Sadiko, you were mentioning that this is you're new to aerospace with your university, and that's incredible. You guys are making a difference by getting this degree. You are increasing the knowledge and bringing aerospace to your area. And so I just find that very encouraging and incredible work to continue in this field. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
Well,
Okay.
I have another question for you. It's that
Okay.
I've been wondering if you can tell us a little bit about what you envision in near future about the space engineering sector. I mean, what's something that's about to accomplish in the next few years?
Yeah, well, definitely going to the moon is the next accomplishment. Going back to the moon and putting the first female on the moon is a major accomplishment that we're working towards. And again, it's just really opening up the doors for different individuals, new people, new generations, to get them excited about aerospace. So going to the moon is going to be the next biggest thing that I'm looking forward to seeing in the upcoming years.
Great. Thank you for answering my question. And I believe Sadkiel has another question right now.
Yeah. Thank you, Alejandro. Well, my question is: do you think mankind is technologically prepared to colonize Mars in the near future?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know if I have the answer to that. Um, I know that we have done incredible things in the past when, um, put to the test. When the first call to go to the moon, and you had international races to get there, human beings did incredible things, and I have full confidence that um, we are still able to continue that path and continue to do things that might seem very far off and out of reach right now. But when we look back, our kids are going to say, wow, you didn't even know that was going to happen. So I think definitely, I don't know how, I don't have the exact information on how we can do it or if we're going to do it at this time, but I do believe we can accomplish things as a society to get us there and achieve those accomplishments.
Yeah, me too. I think it would be like a dream come true. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, I have another question. For the person who want to get more involved in this area, could you please suggest some books from the ones that you have already read?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. A lot of the books that I read are more of the days and lives of the astronauts and individuals. Let me see. So many. Firefly is one, talking about the early days of the Mir mission. And that's a really interesting book because, again, you have different individuals with different, visions on human spaceflight and how things worked early on and where we are now. So that's one of a very interesting read, one that I enjoy.
Okay, Firefly.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, do you remember the author?
The Arthur, I do not on the top of my head, but I
Okay,
can be
don't
sure
worry.
to send that.
Okay, don't worry. We'll share it. Share it.
Okay, so we have 3 more questions in the comments for you to answer. So I'm gonna read the first one, and it is of all the foreign. I think no, okay. So this question is from Anchor, and it is of all the foreign people who work at NASA, what are the main nationalities that we can find?
Let me think about that. Well, we have a large, and again, this is where my personal involvement is, but we work with our Russian counterparts. We also work with Japanese, the Japanese space program, and personnel. We Europeans, a lot of different countries work to send astronauts, and so we work directly with them.
Nuevamente, querido público, una disculpa por los problemas que hemos estado teniendo a lo largo de esta transmisión. Y pues nada, esperar a ver que regrese nuestra invitada.
Hello.
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 So I was talking about the different people and the different backgrounds for engineering and the Japanese Space Agency and the European Agency, Space Agency. So we have a lot of different countries that we work with at NASA, especially with the International Space Station.
I want to read the Risa Contreras question, and it says, what has been your main motivation to achieve all your achievements?
Yeah. So I won't lie. For me, getting my aerospace engineering degree was very difficult at times. There were times where I had to question if it was the right field for me or if it's something that I wanted. But with each new class and each new set of information, especially things that you understand, controls was an area that I really enjoyed. It just became more achievable. And I love the thought of saying I'm an aerospace engineer, saying I'm a rocket scientist, even though I don't design rockets right now, but just being part of that community. So again, I was very fortunate to come across this opportunity. But once I realized I can do this and hey, I'm actually good at this, it just became more achievable. This is possible. I can do this. I have an amazing family and support who told me, "Hey, you can do this as well," and we're right here behind you for anything that you need. So all that together just really made it possible to do the things that I've been able to be part of.
Okay, thank you. I guess staying inspired and never giving up is what you must recommend us to do along with our career. But now I think we have another question for you from Carmen Mendez.
Yes. It question says, is it difficult to enter aerospace companies or agencies like NASA as a foreigner?
Yeah, so there are definitely areas where it is limited, and again, it's due to the type of information and data that you'll have access to. So there are areas that are restricted, and there's some areas that have opportunity, and it's a matter of reaching out and looking and finding those. So although there may be limited positions, it doesn't mean again that that position isn't for you or you might be the right person for that.
Thank you very much. I think there is some kind of information classified, so I think we cannot uh, we cannot have access to it easily. But thank you very much.
Okay, to end this interview, we want to thank our guest, Cecelia Tamayo. It was a great pleasure. We hope you had a great time doing this, and also we hope we can do something more soon. And we want to thank the Ingeniería Aeroespacial UNAM page for providing the space to broadcast and carry out this interview.